Hi, everyone. I am Kandis Porter, and today we are going to take a look at turning data into meaningful information using Smartsheet reports. And if you have not seen this channel before, please subscribe by clicking the little bell below. I cover a lot on project management. I also cover a lot on Smartsheet and other project management tools. Let's start by taking a look at how we're gathering information in the first place. This is going to be a pretty simple example. And let's say that we are an organization and we ship out clothing. So products are what we sell. And we've been getting quite a few returns, and we're trying to figure out why we're getting so many returns. So what I have created is a form. A form is a great thing that you can create in Smartsheet if you're trying to gather information from end users. You can have them submit information in a very simple format, and then you can turn it into data by having it in a grid, which looks a lot like a spreadsheet. So for this very simple form, I want people to tell us why they're returning products. So what is their order number? When are they returning it? We've got this set to where it can be a date only. Let's say the order number is 1, 2, 3, 4. Reason for return. We've got a drop down. We know that oftentimes people will return things if they don't arrive on time. Someone's going to a party and they need a dress, and the dress doesn't show up before the party, they may return it. So it doesn't arrive on time, defect, maybe sizing is too big, or maybe the sizing chart is too small. That's important because maybe we need to update some of that on our website. What if quality isn't what is expected? Do we need to look at our manufacturers and see why the quality isn't up to par? Do we need to change the description of the actual products? So this is a great way for us to gather information in this example. We're also going to provide a spot to where customers can provide comments. And as always, there's this little box at the bottom. So if the customers want to get a copy of when they're submitting this, all they have to do is enter their email. Think about that with any end users that you want to gather data from. This would also work really great if maybe we're looking at an internal IT ticket system. Maybe our IT team is overwhelmed. Everyone's emailing them requests. Everyone's calling them when they need support with something. And so you could create something like a form. So you could track, well, what are people requesting support for? And how can we better serve our end users? So this is a form. Our customers enter information here. I'm going to select defect on this one. No comments. And I really don't want a copy of my actual response here. So no big deal. I'm going to submit the form, and it was successful. A workspace is something that we create to collaborate with others. And if you think of it as a folder type of structure, we can have reports in there. We could have grids, which is where our data is stored. We could build forms off of those grids. So you create a new workspace, and then you can share at that level. So if I have someone on my team, Amanda, and I want Amanda to have access to everything that we create and everything that we're storing within this workspace, I can grant Amanda access at the workspace level. So you'll see here, this is my main workspace or folder, and I can share at this level. I can also share at the document level. If, for example, I only want Amanda to have access to a report that I'm building, I can share within that actual document. I'll show you what that looks like. You'll see here, December returns, that's the grid. It's what we just looked at. Every time someone submits a form, the information is going to go in there. And now we're going to open a report. I've already built one to give you a quick glance at what it looks like. And then I'll show you how to create one. So this is a report. You're going to see at first glance, wow, that really simplified the information. I have a total of 26 returns during the month of December. And then I could see really quickly, this is in alphabetical order based on the reason for return. 3 were returned because of defects. 10 were returned because they didn't arrive on time. That's a pretty large number. I may have a challenge with whoever we're using to ship the products. Quality is not what was expected is 2. Sizing is too big. There's 2. Sizing is too small, 9. Also a large number. Maybe our sizing chart on our website is off. So you'll see that you could really quickly look at information and start to realize, how can we improve our processes? We certainly don't want a ton of returns because things aren't arriving on time. So are we getting out of the warehouse on time? Is the organization that we're using to actually pick up the item and deliver to someone's home, are they having challenges? So what this basically does, it pulls information from your grid, and you could tell the report which columns you want to include or exclude. So we're going to build this from scratch, but you can see how this is really valuable versus having to sort and filter within the grid itself. I'm going to go back to my workspace, and I'm going to show you how you can go about creating a report similar to this. So I am now back in the workspace. You're going to see that I'm the only one that currently has access to this workspace. And I'm going to click on this create. It's going to offer me a drop-down option. I can create a new grid. That's where our information is stored. A new task list, project, cards. I can browse some templates. I have an entire video. It's an hour long on an introduction to Smartsheet. If you're just dipping your toe in the water, that is a great place to start. So please look for that video. What I'm going to do now is go to report. So I'm going to go to the bottom or towards the bottom here, and I'll call this customer returns to. I want it to be a row report for this case, and I'll let you know what that is momentarily. So customer returns to, I'm going to click on that, and it's going to ask, where do I want to pull this information from? Well, I need to select the correct workspace. So I know that it's in my Smartsheet training overall folder here, and then returns tracker. That's what I'm focusing on in my December returns. So it's going to prompt you and ask you, okay, where's the grid? Where's the source document that you want to link this report to? That's what we're looking for. So make sure that you have a naming convention for your workspaces that is really clear and helps you easily select the one that you want to link the report to. And what it's going to ask me now, what columns do I want to include in this report? We're only including one sheet or grid in here, and so I don't really need that. That's not going to help me. So I'm going to remove that. The primary column here, this is what I've entered for the return numbers. So that's the return numbers. I know it's very simple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's see here. What exactly do we want to include in this report? I would like to include the reason for return. That is really what I'm looking for. So the reason for return, and let's go ahead and include the return date, especially since this is December, and we know sometimes as we get very close to the holidays that shipping can become a problem. So maybe I need to kind of connect the dots there as we get closer to maybe Christmas. Is that going to cause us to have more returns because it didn't arrive in time? Good to know. Okay, so we now have this set up with our primary column again. We're just using that as the order number, the reason for return, and the return date. So you can modify these. If maybe you can't see all of the text, you can make your columns wider. And okay, this is great. It's now sorted by return date. It's not very easy to look at. It's very similar to what we had in the grid. So let's go ahead and group them. You'll see that there's a button here called Group. So that's going to help us organize this report just by clicking on it. And we want to group by reason for return. So it gives you options here. Let's group by reason for return in ascending order. So you will see that I have now clicked on group. I've now clicked on group and it has reason for return. It is in ascending order, again, based off of alphabetical order. So we've got our defects in there. We've got didn't arrive on time, quality is not what is expected, sizing too big, sizing too small. Now, I still don't have all of the information that I'd like to have. That's great. I could go and manually count them. However, we could just click a button here called Summarize. That is going to help us. Reason for return, I want to summarize and I want to know the count. So it gives you different options here: count, sum, average, minimum, maximum. We want to count based on each reason for return. Click on OK. Changes have been made to the information in your Smartsheet. Would you like to save the changes? Save. There we go. You now see we've got 26 total, 3 defects, 10 didn't arrive on time, 2 for quality is not what is expected, 2 for sizing too big, 9 for sizing too small. There you go. That is a great way to help you organize information. Now, you'll see we've got one sheet that's here. Maybe we had multiple sheets or grids that we were tracking returns in based on different products or based off of different departments that we'd want to consolidate. We could add additional sheets if we wanted into this so that you could look at it holistically, maybe for the entire organization, all products. We want to see, why are people returning things? So you could add additional sheets there. You could add additional columns from those sheets. Maybe we also want to take a look at customer comments. We could add that in and it would show a new column. We can also filter out information. Right now, we've got all of the information in here. You'll see return date is not blank. You can add or remove different things. Let's add a condition. We also want to make sure that maybe our reason for return is not blank. Maybe we want to add another condition where maybe we only want to look at quality or defects. Reason for return is equal to defect. You will see now we're only looking at defects. There's only 3 because we updated our filter criteria to eliminate anything that didn't have a return date, to eliminate anything that was not a defect in regards to the reason for return. Especially if you're feeding in information from multiple sheets or grids, and you wanted to look at how many defects did we have overall in all of our products across the organization during the month of December. You may want to filter by that. So again, this is how you create a report that can really bring you meaningful information and boil it down for you at first glance. I mentioned earlier that you could also share at the sheet level. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a button that says share. If you only wanted to share with stakeholders this report versus the full grid or sheet, you could do that as well. So this is where you would share at the sheet level versus at the workspace level. One thing I want to point out is that there are 2 different types of reports in Smartsheet. If you recall, when I was creating the report, it asked me if I wanted a row report or a sheet summary report. I am going to make sure that I add a link in the comments below that point you to the reports page where it describes a little bit more about the different types of reports and when you would use them. In a nutshell, a row report is going to pull in information from rows or columns on a sheet. And that's what we wanted to use for this one because we're looking to summarize the different rows and make meaningful data. You can also create something called a sheet summary report. A sheet summary report pulls in information from the sheet summary fields. That's not what we looked at today. We looked at the row report. So again, I'm going to put a link down in the comments in case you want to read up a little bit more on the different types of reports. Hopefully you got a good feel though today from how you may want to connect everything within Smartsheet. We looked at a form. A form is something that we want to use to gather information from end users that feeds into a sheet or a grid. And then we can build reports based off of the information in the grid. Today, we created a row report that allows us to really quickly summarize information, to sort and to filter it. And we could just share that report with key stakeholders to where they can quickly get a glance. It's going to change real time. It's going to change real time as information in your sheet, your source document. If additional returns are coming in, that's going to update your report. That's the beautiful thing, is that they're all interconnected. So for anyone that is creating manual reports at this time, you may want to look at how do we interconnect our data and give our key stakeholders what they're really looking for. Again, I am Kandis Porter. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. If you haven't subscribed, please click the bell and subscribe to this channel. I'm also a project management consultant, worked with a lot of organizations on establishing their processes within Smartsheet or brainstorming with them on how to set things up. So don't hesitate to reach out. I will also put an email in the comments below.